Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Friday if you're watching this at the time of its release. If not, hello. Welcome back to your annual YouTube video. Today, we're going to be playing around a bunch in the Manticore, a tank that I currently have been really having a quite lovely time with. Light tanks are generally never something I've been particularly good at. It was one of the first classes of tanks I played. It's the reason I quit the game for a few months back in like 2013, and I'm just now getting to grips with one that I really enjoy. I don't know how many of you have played the Manticore lately, but with the addition of Bounty Low Noise Exhaust, which is, if you're unaware, an equipment piece that basically just increases your camo value. If you throw that on, along with a camo directive or concealment directive, you can push like 54% camo, which on a physical platform as small as the Manticore is nothing short of ridiculous. The kind of bushes you can use probably wouldn't even classify as bushes. They're more equal to blades of grass than anything else. But this video here is just a replay of a game I had on stream this past week. One of the coolest I've had in this whole year, probably. The Manticore, I don't think, is particularly known for its combat abilities. It's very much, prized for its concealment. As you can see here, the TVP, a tank that can easily push like 500 meters V range, did not spot me at 65 meters away. That is outrageous. I decide here to try and run away. The Sheridan is in mid, but do a little wiggle here and we get away pretty much scot-free. Right off the bat, though, something with the Manticore that I find to be very unique to it, you can pretty much without any effort pull about 1,000 assistants almost every game. Of course, you have maps like Paris and Himmelsdorf that aren't super conducive to that, but the majority of your games, I find, just by the nature of existing, I can produce some pretty nice assisted values. I decide to try and push mid here, and basically do what the Sheridan tried on my side. And I take it a little slow. The reason here I'm using sort of a top-down view is to make sure I do not leave a bush, because all it takes is a little bit of an overextension, and I am in an immense amount of trouble. I try to position my tank in a way that isn't too far ahead in the event the TVP decides to push over this way or something weird like that. I don't even want to go through that little gap in the middle, so you could see I retreated all the way back to try and cut through the bush line as much as possible. I don't want to shoot here. I don't want to give my position away. The benefit I have of keeping this guy spotted is that it increases the likelihood he won't realize he is still spotted. If you end up unspotting and respotting and unspotting and respotting a tank, that sixth sense will keep going off over and over and over again. And, even an average player can sort of deduce where you're spotting from. But in this case, I've had this TVP spotted for like 20 seconds at this point. I don't know if he even still realizes he's lit. But I'm just hanging here, hoping my team will shoot stuff. The TVP kind of lost his opportunity. The 60 TP might have some shots. Of course, they have an artillery, and, that's sort of that. But we get a nice shot there from the 60 TP. Oh, no, from somebody else hitting that guy for 700. I'm debating on firing the shot here, though, because getting a 50B out and kind of having some more map control will go a long way. But I'm also kind of worried about a 183 who could cause some pretty serious issues for me. So it is nice to see a little bit of teamwork there, considering how rare it is in the overwhelming arc of Watt. But we're going to slowly kind of push these bushes ahead and see what we can see. Again, I have that camera from a top-down view as much as possible to try and ensure I do not travel outside of a bush, because when you get this close to the enemy, you need to be immensely aware of what you're exposing, because it could literally kill you. There's nothing armor-wise or anything like that to hide behind when you're playing in something like this. The Manticore as a whole, though, is a tank that I feel has kind of a weird existence in World of Tanks, and I think that's kind of reflected by the players who play it, where for a long time, even by good players, it was described as useless, meaningless, completely irrelevant, and one of the worst lights in the game. However, nowadays, it I believe has the single highest mark requirement, whether it's damage and combined damage of like 5,200, which is of course down to the fact that generally good players are playing it. But the fact that it can perform to that degree, you also have to take into account platoons and people shooting, just what their light tank spots and all that stuff is of course a factor. So you can see here, we decide to full commit. Thank the Lord this TVP just cannot hit anything. We try and secure the kill on the arty because one thing you want to do pretty much anytime you're going to fight, whether it's a light tank or a heavy, whatever you're playing, if you're going into a 1v2, 1v3, you want to force those 1v1s as much as possible. So I try to take out the low HP and go from there. I see this guy got tracked. I'm going to full commit and just push in here. I'm not going to go for the retrack because I don't want to split my assistance. This game is still pretty close. It looks like we are going to win pretty comfortably, though. So I'm just kind of chilling here. I know I have nothing to worry about. I could take this at my own pace. That was a little risky, the amount of time I just sat in front of him, but we pick up the kill, and we're up to a pretty nice game. 3,800 assisted damage, pretty much all of it spotting, and 1,100 just regular damage dealt. I'm going to try and push up on the top of their sniper hill, because this should give me eyes on the Caro, the T62A, and a couple of shots in mid, as you can see there in the 277. So I pull back in order to get the bush to be opaque, so I know I'm getting the full camo value. I move as soon as I fire, because if I didn't, I would have gotten shot by the 277. It does not take a whole lot to try and deduce where you've been shot from. So we hit for a 10 damage high roll there on the 183 as well, which is kind of nice. I'm trying to make sure I don't get killed by the 183, though. This game has kind of turned around and it's gotten a lot closer than I think I was anticipating at the time. I'm just trying to move around and keep an amount of vision. By setting up here, I should have a nice shot on the 60 TP as well, but I'm a bit out of range. So I decide to push back in and try and keep an eye on the 183 if he overextends. A lot of people have asked me on my stream the Manticore grind, how is it to get? Because a lot of people seem to enjoy the ridiculous kind of bush mechanics that you can abuse. But the grind as a whole, I skipped a lot of it with blueprints, thank God. I've heard the LHM TV, which is the tier 8, I think, and the GSOR, which I think is the tier 9, or the other way around, it's something like that, is not great, but they can do a lot of the same bush mechanic play you can in this. I decided to take a quick shot here, and as you can see, this game is getting really close, 12 to 12. It's me, an STB, and an arty against a Caro, a 62A, and a 60 TP. The name of the game at this point is very much what we saw with the 268 and the T92 HMC, where this is going to come down to trying to force those 1v1s as much as possible. Because trying to take 3 tanks on in a Manticore, I shouldn't have to tell you, is not particularly very practical. If you're unaware, the Manticore has a 12.5 second reload with the build I have, so trying to shoot more than one person even over the course of a minute is not really the most lovely experience. Try for a shot there. I don't know where the hell that went. I think it hit his upper plate at a weird angle, just below the turret, near the top of the hull, and no luck. But I really needed that to hit because at this point, I can use the field to kind of play those V-range games. I'm going to try for another shot here, and we luckily get one into his lower plate. I know the 62A and 60 TP are on my right, so I'm just kind of playing with that in mind, but really focusing my attention on the Caro. You can see here I'm going to slowly poke out and try and get a little bit of vision. I'm debating pushing in this next bush, and I decide to do it right away because I know the longer I take, the more the 60 TP and T62A are going to gain a bit of distance on me. I decide here, I think it's time just to take the shot because I see the 60 TP in field. I need to kill this guy. Once he presents that huge chunk of his lower plate, that's my cue to start firing. I do get lit by the 60 TP, and he does fire a shot, but we're going to just try and rush out of here as quickly as possible because I know, again, I want to try and force that distance. I want to create as many 1v1s sort of as I possibly can. There's our 62A as well. I want to try and get these guys down to a one-shot as much as possible, though. This should be a free hit. Lovely. So now is where we kind of get into a cool thing where, based on where you shoot people, that can sometimes lead them to that position. And what I mean by that is the 60 TP knows I shot him from that rock at J0. So instead of him trying to maybe push somewhere else to catch me midway, he commits to my last spot thinking I'm still there because I can't get out. That's another benefit you have of the Manticore, where it's not a common tank, so in a lot of cases you'll have a huge amount of players that don't necessarily know just what it can get away with. Super unlucky shot there. I loaded some gold for the last bit of gameplay here, but I really needed that one to hit because trying to get those low HPs to where it's just a one-shot kill really makes playing these vision games super helpful. The reason I'm not pushing into sort of a bush line in front of me is because I know both of these guys are probably going to come from this way, so I want to try and spot this as much as I can. I'm waiting for the opportunity there. I luckily penned that. That was an absolute dream shot. I could not be happier that hit. Again, I use that shot to try and lead the 60 TP into a position that is, more beneficial for me. But he, instead of full committing like he did when I was at J0, he's kind of taking it slow because he doesn't want to expose himself too much since he's on very low HP. But I'm going to try and run away and get more distance between me and them, as I don't want to be caught out by either a flank or, two tanks at one point. So the pressure's kind of on here for me. You could notice on this shot particularly, my hand gets a little shaky. This is just one of those games. It was one of my best in the Manticore. I've done more spotting. I've hit almost 12,000 spotting on proc, whereas this one was a nice mix of shooting, positioning, and assistance, which is pretty rare, at least in the Manticore, since you don't really get to shoot all that often. So any game where it's above 3K starts to feel pretty good. But that alarm going off with 2 minutes left. If you don't know, a draw is classified as a loss on your record. It does not, increase your win rate or hold it. It literally just drops it. If you care about that, that's a semi-fun fact, I guess. I personally, I'd rather take the loss than a draw. It counts the same anyway, so this is sort of my what's the word I'm looking for? Like, my moment of realization that it's time to just go. So I full commit here. This man just full snaps it. I mean, super unlucky. What are you going to do? The benefit I do have, though, comes down to the fact that I have just enough HP where it should be nearly impossible for the T62A to one-shot me. He could do it, especially if he has HE, just by a sheer streak of good luck. I do spot the T62A, and that shot does go exactly where I want. Now, he is down to 338 HP. If you're unaware, the Manticore has a 390 alpha gun. We are down to 44 seconds. I'm hopefully going to wait and see where this guy goes. Something really important there, I use that new extended third-person view to try and get an idea where he's going to go. He thinks I go in the valley. Instead, I go up top. We get a full flank on him. I got all the time in the world. Pen that shot. We roll moderately okay and secure what turned out to be a pretty wild win. That's not a very common result for me. A game like this where we really push, a huge amount of damage for a Manticore. and combine that with about 4K spotting. This was one of the most enjoyable games I've had in the Manticore so far. I've got about 300 games in it now. For a long time, I was of the opinion, like everybody else, that it's okay, not great, but nothing really more than that. But with the addition of the low noise exhaust system, I think it is LNES, under the bounty slot, combine that with CVS and bounty optics, the kind of things you can do are pretty much unmatched. You could argue the ELC Even 90 can kind of pull some of the same stuff, but it just doesn't have the mobility nor the gun performance, which I know might be a little funny, but trust me, play the Even 90 and then play this, and I hope you'll believe me. Anyway, that'll be it for this one, folks. I do hope you enjoyed your annual Watt video. Hopefully, I'll see you a bit more in the future. Have a good one, and come check out the stream, by the way. The link is in the description.